Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Ted Keller again reporting from Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I know you're probably saying, where are the pictures? Maybe on the next recording. Anyway, just wanted to bring you an update on the severe weather uptick I expect beginning Thursday, really, and then going through the entire weekend, and just generally speaking, the end of April and early May, too. But let's get a little more focused here. So, this is the latest Storm Prediction Center SPC outlook. This is for Thursday, much the same. Iowa is at the epicenter of that. With a marginal risk around that, but mainly this is going to be along a warm front. This is, remember, these SPC outlooks are always 24-hour outlooks from, well, in Central Daylight Time, 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the following day. So if I say this is the forecast for Thursday, it actually does go through to Friday morning at 7 a.m. That's going to be true of any of these graphs I show you, by the way. This is primarily going to be an evening event, I think. Hail, gusty winds are the main parameters when you're north of a warm front. A tornado can't be ruled out, especially this many days out, but it would have to be probably in the warm sector or along the front somehow. So just keep that in mind for Thursday. For Friday, a very long area of severe weather from Texas all the way up to Michigan. This is elongated because it's along a front. And truth be told, I think that this will end up being bimodal. So the northern part from Chicago over to Detroit, that area, will probably end up being a slightly higher risk, a little more fine tuning on that, and then maybe the Texas part will end up being that way as well. If you look at the Colorado State pattern matching, all this does is it takes a look at previous weather patterns that looked like this over the last, gosh, decades. I don't know how many decades of data it has, but quite a few. And it's supporting the southern mode. So from southwest Missouri into the heart of North Texas, a slightly higher probability of severe weather. That's the probability within 110 kilometers, or roughly 68 miles, I think, of any given point. And it could be any severe weather. So that's kind of supporting that outlook. That is for Friday. And then on Saturday, if I didn't say that correctly, that was for Friday. Saturday, it's still a stretched out event. So that's still basically a front, a little more of a bulbous kind of look to that in Texas. And I think that's dry line activity. And in fact, if you take a look at the pattern analogs for that, going to the Colorado State site again, that definitely favors the western end of that elongated area from Oklahoma City down into much of the panhandle of Texas and much of northern Texas too. So there's that. And then if we move ahead to Sunday, this is looking awfully familiar again from some of the massive tornado outbreaks that we've had so far this year, with that activity stretching from the boot heel of Missouri and southern Illinois all the way down to East Texas. So those areas have had a lot of tornadoes so far this year. So you can't rule out that being a possibility with this as well. Now, I will say that the analog pattern matching tends to favor Texas if you look back at the data. So there could be something to that as well. But I think it matches pretty well. It's just this gives you a little bit more of a bullseye than the SPC forecast. So let's look at the upper level winds. That's really at this many days out, that's essential. And so on Friday, around 1 o'clock or so, that's the 500 millibar flow. It's really good southwest to northeast fetch. So that just allows basically a broad area of low pressure to be over, well, to the left where you see those winds. So Colorado, that area. And that just encourages southerly winds drawing up day by day more moisture. This is going to feed into a pretty heavy rain event. I'll talk about that last slide. But for now, the wind field's in place for severe weather. And I think by assumption, the moisture would be there as well. Then the devil is just in the details after that. Now, what starts to happen on Saturday is we have a closed low there in the four corners, and that's going to help to develop. And you can see there's kind of a sort of a sharpening of that trough. That's going to lead to more cyclogenesis, or a low pressure center at the surface. Some debate about where that'll be, but it'll be somewhere over the Great Plains, and that will increase a lot of things. Actually, it increases the wind shear, especially for tornado possibilities. And then if we go to Sunday, that is a sharp trough. By the way, I'm looking at the GFS on this, the other long range model, the Euro. I didn't look at, probably should have, but I had a feeling it was about the same, by the way. So this really encourages deep cyclogenesis over Oklahoma and Kansas. So anybody east of that along the warm front, or southeast or even south of that, is in the severe weather zone for sure. Here is the latest NIU, Northern Illinois University, uh, this is an accumulated supercell composite. Supercell is just a thunderstorm that doesn't rain on itself and kill itself, and it also has sustained updraft. So for a supercell to develop, some of the parameters they're looking for are upper level winds that support supercells. The structure of the cell has to be, again, a certain way, and it has to be tilted a little bit. And then you have to have enough instability. So the dry line seems to be pretty active. This is April 21st through April 28th. Again, this is an accumulated index, not any specific forecast for any day, just kind of a guideline. And then if you go ahead to the next week, week 3, this is April 28th to May 5th, big expansion again of supercell potential. So again, if you're going to have severe weather, this is something you have to have is supercells, unless it's an isolated event. So the last thing I want to talk about is the QPF, quantitative precipitation forecast. Now this is a 7-day forecast, but most of this starts by Friday, Saturday. And the reason you have this bullseye of rain over, let's say, Chanute and Joplin, where you're talking about 4 or 5 inches of rain, is because that front stretches out, as you saw, and stalls a little bit. And then low pressure develops along that. So all that will contribute to a pretty heavy rain event from southern Missouri curving back down into Oklahoma. Well, that'll do it for this report. Probably have another one in a couple of days here as the events get a little bit closer. Stay safe. Watch the weekend forecast especially, and I'll see you in the next video.